Mr. Bhattacharya. In fact, if you look at some of the countries that have, this inheritance tax, there are only a handful of them, and most of them fall in Europe, including Belgium, Germany, France, United Kingdom. United States has a rate of 40%, and it's not a federal rate. It depends on state to state, but the average is 40%. How does this work, and how do you see this?
Since you started with Europe, let me take the examples of the most egalitarian countries in Europe, which is Norway, Sweden, Finland, and so on. None of those countries have an inheritance tax or steps towards wealth redistribution in the manner that we're saying, which is taking away from those who have and trying to give it to those who do not have. There is no concrete evidence or research done which shows that this kind of step actually leads to inequality in the society. So what is the purpose of this step? What is being talked about is that by taking wealth away from those who have it and giving it to others, it leads to redistribution, therefore equality in the country. Now, let's take a thought experiment. The average income in this country is about 2.5 lakhs per annum. So let's take everybody's income and give everybody 2.5 lakhs per annum, which comes to about 20,000 rupees per month. Let's just think what will happen. Where will the jobs come from which will give them 20,000 rupees per month? Who among these people will stand up and say, now I'll create the next $10 billion refinery? Who will create the next automobile company in this country? Or is it that we are saying that everything will be back to the government building up these capital investments, and therefore the government giving the job, which is harking back to the socialistic / the communistic era, which is dead globally. Clearly, these are not regimes that can work. And we have seen what happened in regimes which tried to do so. The Pol Pot regime in Cambodia, it ended up killing billions and millions of people. The commune regime in China, which is the agricultural commune regime, where everybody would get an equal share of whatever they want to produce, it ended up that nobody was producing anything, and 30 million people in China died. Let's take the example of Uganda. They said that the Indians in Uganda are creating inequality. They are having disproportionate concentration of wealth, and therefore they should be thrown away. Their wealth, their farms, their lands should be given back to the Ugandans in an equal manner. What happened? The Indians obviously suffered. They left Uganda, but the Ugandans suffered even more. Their economy tanked completely for decades. Now, clearly, these are very hamstrung ideas. And if ideas are not tested and then put in as political viewpoints, it's extremely dangerous. We saw what happened in Sri Lanka when they said we will use no fertilizer, no pesticide in agriculture, an untested idea. Their entire agriculture got demolished in that year, and Sri Lanka is in the situation that we see, a complete economic spiral. These untested ideas being brought in and given the sheen of some kind of an academic wrapper is very, very dangerous for the country, for the economy, for the people. And also, please do keep in mind that this is not just an economic issue, it's also a social issue. Socially, in India, this is unacceptable. We did have a discrepancy from 1953 onwards when such a tax was put into India. It was duly taken out. But this is socially an unacceptable step, not coming out from the culture of India. We build capital for the next generation. And please do keep in mind that concentration of capital is not bad. Unless we have concentration of capital, we'll not have the next generation of industry coming up. Imagine if Kumaramangalam Birla had only half of what his father left for him. We would have 1 lakh less jobs in this country. The Aditya Birla Group has about 2 lakh jobs globally, 1,90,000 roughly speaking. So we would have 1 lakh jobs vanish because we had an inheritance tax. And would somebody else create that jobs? I would not imagine so. Whoever would have taken away that 1 lakh, that half of the wealth, would not have created the kind of wealth that Aditya Birla Group generated under the leadership of Kumaramangalam Birla. And this is just one off-the-cuff case. There'll be multiple such cases that we can quote. So these hamstrung ideas is really a dangerous thing for this country. And we should call it as such and bury it as soon as possible.
What do you think could have been the inspiration or the motivation behind such a move? Who's listening? I mean, we are discussing it in studios and air-conditioned rooms, but do you think the people who are actually going to go out and vote for either Rahul Gandhi or Mr. Narendra Modi? All right, Mr. Bhattacharya, quickly.
It's music to my ears that I hear both the representative of BJP and the representative of Congress saying that they do not believe in wealth redistribution through inheritance taxes and through other such mechanisms. That's great to hear. But I still continue to hear from national parties and their representatives that they will that it is important to discuss wealth redistribution in a manner which is alien from an Indian perspective. Also, please do keep in mind that when we are talking about U.S. Policies on wealth redistribution and inheritance tax, most of the large billionaire families actually hide their money behind trust. So all that will happen is that if ever this is implemented in India, is that money will go into unproductive means, it'll go into gold, it'll be relocated outside of India into the Swiss banks that was just mentioned about a little while ago. That's going to hurt India because we'll lose the capital that is needed to build new factories and new jobs. So I hope such a policy never comes into India and we continue to go in the growth path.
It in all likelihood will not.